Welcome, everybody, to our November 2025 Animal Reiki Talk. And our special theme tonight is a global healing circle of inviting joy. And I invite all of you this month in November to join our Let Animals Lead community in our group dedication to the animals in my life who have been my biggest teachers. So you can be contemplating and thinking about that this month. And also a special affirmation as we do our meditations this month. My heart is open to the joy that animals naturally share with me. So I want to welcome everybody who is here live and those of you who are watching this recording later. And I think what's beautiful about our Animal Reiki community is how we are all united by our love for animals. And I think it's wonderful that we can get together, and even better when we're live, but when we can get together energetically to create a circle of collective healing. And every one of you, your heart and your intention and that compassion and love for animals, it adds to this global field of peace. We have community members all around the globe. And I know that those of you who are here who are not yet part of our Let Animals Lead community, but are Animal Reiki practitioners, that all of you are spread all around the world. And so welcome to everybody. And I would love, since our dedication this month is for animals who've been our biggest teachers, I'd love for us to sit for just a minute and just picture in your mind and heart one special animal teacher whose presence has brought joy to your life. And just silently take a moment to give gratitude and thanks to them. Oh, that was harder than I thought because a whole bunch of animals came to my mind. But yeah, more than one is good. um, so this month's theme is inviting joy, and I want to remind all of you that the best way to find joy is rediscovering it through openness to what is already present in the moment and connecting to those beings that we are always connected to, but we get so busy in our lives. And so rather than joy being something we have to chase after and try to discover or find, it's something that already exists within us. And so I just invite you all to reawaken that joy within you, and your animals can help you. So before we do our shared meditation today, I wanted to share a little bit about this topic of inviting joy. And I've also written a blog on my website. So if you haven't read it yet, be sure to go in and check that out. So I'm just going to hit some of the high points for me in this topic. And I want to start with one of my favorite wisdom teachers, Thich Nhat Hanh, and this beautiful quote: "The present moment is filled with joy and happiness. If you are attentive, you will see it." So I think sometimes joy feels impossible or hidden, or at least very elusive, because our world is so heavy with stress and there is so much suffering in the world, and things are often so uncertain in our lives. But if we dig deep, we can find that joy is already here, present, and waiting. And so the Let Animals Lead method of Animal Reiki gives us a lot of tools and different practices to help us to rediscover that hidden joy. And so I invite you this month, as we focus on our dedication to all of our animals who are our most wonderful teachers, to allow the memories of them, the thoughts of them, contemplating them, maybe even spending time with them, allow that to unfold joy in your life. So What actually is joy? I always like to, when I'm thinking about, a word, a concept, I like to go back to what that word means. And so if we go back to the simple dictionary definition, it's the emotion evoked by well being. Other words are delight, elation, happiness, bliss. But I like that original simple dictionary definition, the emotion evoked by well being, because then we see that joy is actually a natural expression of a balanced, peaceful, and connected life. Theologian Lewis Smedes once called it an intermezzo of gratitude that interrupts the routine motion of life. I love that definition because it really describes the way that joy interrupts the sort of rhythm of the ordinary. And then we have these moments that remind us what a miracle it is to simply be alive. And I think that when we nurture ourselves, our own well being, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, we create the right conditions for joy to arise. So let's talk about some ways that we can nurture joy and reconnect with joy in ourselves. And one is nurture your physical well being. How can we do that? Through breath, through movement, and by being in nature. And animals really remind us the joy of being in the moment. Like, any of you have cats that like to lay in the sun? Actually, my dog is kind of like a cat in that way. We have a sunroom, gets sunny in the afternoon, and he likes to go and lay in the sun, even if it's really hot in there. The hotter, the better. He just is a sun king. He loves it in there. And, something as simple as that, connecting with sunlight can really be healthy for us, our physical being. And, I take my horse out on the trails and we're out in nature, and it's always such a beautiful experience just to be surrounded in nature. And it reminds us how wonderful it is just to be here. And that kind of brings me to the second aspect of well being, which is our mental well being. And we need to cultivate a calm mental state, because a calm mind is like a garden waiting to be planted with joy. And so, if we can take even a few moments every day and just breathe deeply and sit in stillness with our animals, or focus on gratitude for our animal teachers, then we can start to feel that still point of peace within us. And that's the place where joy naturally lives. Journaling can also help our mental calmness. It helps us open our heart. It helps us to reflect on gratitude. It helps us, open up to the blessings of the present moment. And that brings me to the other part of mental well-being, which is mindfulness. So if we let go of the past and the uncertainty of the sadness of the past, the uncertainty of the future, and all we have is this present moment, then a lot of, stress begins to just dissolve and melt away. And then we're just sitting with our dog. We're just standing in the pasture with our horse. We're just being in this moment, and joy kind of gently emerges in that space. What about emotional well being? This is all about nurturing compassionate relationships. Joy thrives in connection. So, when you're opening your heart to others, whether it's your animals or your human friends, this connection helps us to live with love instead of fear. And we're strengthening our resilience through these compassionate connections. So, I encourage you all to work on creating positive and supportive relationships in your life. We have the Mighty Networks Let Animals Lead community with over 600 members all over the world, which is such an amazing place of positivity and support in today's crazy world. I'm so grateful to have that. Connect with people and animals who lift you up, who nurture your inner compassion, who help you to feel lighter and happier and more grounded. And sometimes finding that emotional well-being is in something as simple as reaching out for support when you need it or offering support. So, for example, volunteering at a shelter or a sanctuary or helping a friend or a friend's animal in need. This is a way to wake up our hearts. Joy doesn't mean that we can never feel sad, but it means allowing ourselves to be supported through life so that our light can keep shining. And finally, well being has a fourth layer, the layer of spirit. And this is the place where we remember our interconnectedness to one another. We are more than our physical body. We are more than the story of how we got here. We are spiritual beings connected with all of life. And our Animal Reiki practice nurtures this because every time we sit in meditation, we're reconnecting with our purpose, with our ethics, with our sacred bond with animals and nature, and that knowledge that we are all one. When we live from this space of interconnectedness, joy isn't something that is fleeting, that just pops in and then it disappears. Joy becomes a steady presence in our lives, a quiet peace that reminds us we're never truly alone. Joy is a choice and a practice. There's a beautiful quote by Henry Nouwen that says, "Joy does not simply happen to us. We have to choose joy and keep choosing it every day." Choose joy in your life. I think one of the difficulties to finding and choosing joy in our life is our ego, because when we live in our ego and our kind of human perception of our 3D world, then we feel very separate and our hearts can close. And then we can move through the world as an isolated I. But when we live in humility, we recognize our deep interconnection with all beings. And this is, again, something that our meditation practice helps us realize. We might start out going, "Oh, I'm a human and that's a dog." And then we sit in meditation and those differences start to melt away. And we realize, I am the light and I see the light in this dog, and the dog sees my light. And that's, that space where we are the same, you know. The miracle of animal Reiki is that it dissolves the ego's walls and awakens our heart's wisdom that we are all one. This means that we have to stop seeing things with our physical eyes and start looking with our heart, or what I call our Reiki eyes. And then we start to grow our humility and weaken the ego. We start to see through the eyes of gratitude instead of judgment, which is often how we think of things when we're not seeing with our Reiki eyes. It's a real shift in perception that happens through our Animal Reiki meditation practice. And as we shift this perception, the natural joy within us awakens. So in Animal Reiki, we often talk about being in the flow. And this is when we sort of release control and judgment, ego, and then just allow ourselves to be in the flow of the healing, which is bigger than us. Well, the same is true of joy. When we walk into a shelter, for example, if we have an agenda like, I think I'm here to heal this animal, animals feel that. They may turn away, hide, get agitated. But if we take time to ground ourselves, breathe, connect with gratitude, let go of the I, be in the flow, be in joy, everything changes. Animals are drawn to us. They want to connect. Animals that haven't ever relaxed suddenly lay down and be completely peaceful. Amazing miracles happen when we just let it flow. There's a great quote I want to share with you by Swami Satchidananda, and he wrote this in the Yoga Sutras. We can be serene even in the midst of calamities, and by our serenity, make others more tranquil. Serenity is contagious. We should plague everyone with joy. I love that. Plague everyone with joy. But when we cultivate that inner peace and humility, our very presence becomes healing and that joy surrounds us. As we let go of our ego, anger and worry begin to lose their grip. Our attitudes begin to change. We become more peaceful, more courageous. Our inner joy can finally come out. And animals already live this way. They don't dwell on the past, obsess about the future. They live fully in this present moment. They flow with the rhythm of life, and they're always inviting us to join them. Rumi says, when you do things from your soul, you feel a river moving in you, a joy. And this river is always flowing within us. Our animal Reiki meditation practice just helps us remember how to listen. And as we live more in harmony with our soul, the earth, and all beings, we're also aligning with the universal flow of healing, and joy becomes our natural expression. It is a sign that we are awake, connected, and alive to the beauty of life itself. So I invite each of you to let joy rise from your heart of humility, release the I, and discover the vastness of oneness of the we. Animals already know this truth. And so allow them to guide you on this path. And I hope that this month is a gentle practice for each of you in noticing joy wherever it appears for you, in a wagging tail, in a soft breeze, in a quiet sunrise, or in the steady heartbeat of gratitude. Because joy is here, it's always waiting. So let's move into our special guided meditation tonight for the world. I call this the Waves of Joy for the World meditation. So let's go into Gasho and let's take a moment to set our intention. Let's dedicate all the energy of this practice to our animals. And just invite them to share this space if they wish. And then we'll rest our hands on our lap. And let's take a moment to do a few hara breaths. So your hara is your energy center in your lower belly. You can visualize it like a beautiful sphere of light. And then as you breathe in, imagine you breathe in the light through the crown and it fills your body with light all the way down to the hara. And then on the out breath, imagine that light expands all around you, this beautiful bubble out your skin, into your aura, and into the universe. So breathing in the light, filling your body, connecting with the hara, and breathing out, expanding that light. Breathing in, connecting, and breathing out, expanding. And breathing in and breathing out. Just take a couple more breaths at your own pace. And with each breath, just feel yourself grounded and calm. More and more grounded, more and more calm. And I'd like you to visualize the world community of Animal Reiki practitioners all around the world as thousands of tiny points of light forming one radiant network of compassion. And feel your animal companions both living and in spirit, gathering with you in this shared field of light, compassion, and joy. And with each inhale now, I'd like you to bring in gratitude for your connection with animals. And with each exhale, imagine that gratitude can ripple outward as waves of light and joy. And imagine these waves traveling across oceans and continents. A beautiful invitation of joy and light and healing to animals in homes, shelters, sanctuaries, and the wild. And sense the world softening in response, as if the earth herself is breathing more easily. And silently repeat this affirmation: my heart is open to the joy that animals naturally share with me. And just relax and rest in this light, this radiance, one global heart, one peaceful rhythm. And place your hand over your heart and just silently thank the animals for helping us remember joy. And then bringing our hands back into Gasho, just taking a moment to thank our animals. Whoever chose to connect in this moment with us was just perfect. And setting our intention to finish, take a nice deep breath and slowly come back and open your eyes. So I invite any of you who might want to share anything that you felt or noticed. I felt an incredible expansiveness. That's what it felt for me. And it was like my whole head and like all my energy from like here up just felt like it just was like sparkling. That's how it felt to me. Yes, Kathy.
Yes, when you at one point when you were talking about the points of light all over the world, how we're scattered in this community. You know, it's like those maps you see with all the looking above and seeing all those points of light with like a beam coming up, and they're just all touching and connecting. You know, wherever we are.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Love that. To me, I think, this talk tonight and our meditation can remind us that joy is both deeply personal, inward feeling, and also universally shared. And so it sort of unites us beyond words. And I love that. I think that's beautiful. And, I want you all to remember that energy, this radiance, is still out there, carried by everyone's heart and all of that compassion tonight. That we finished our meditation, but the resonance of it continues beyond that. And so for me, it felt like the earth was wrapped in this beautiful warm blanket. Didn't you have that in a meeting, Kathy? You talked about something about a warm blanket. It felt like a warm blanket. That's how it felt like for me tonight, but not for me, for the earth, But I love remembering that when I do my meditation practice, I do it for a period of time, but the radiance, that wave keeps flowing, just like the waves in the ocean, they keep going. And so your waves of this beautiful intention keeps flowing and going on, which is a wonderful thing to remember. So I want to thank everyone for taking part in this and for your presence, either live or later, joining us. Each person's energy is a beautiful wave of light for the world. And as we go back into our daily lives, may we continue to walk gently, guided by joy. And may the animals always remind us to see the light within ourselves and all beings. So thank you all for being together with me tonight. Great to be with you. and wishing you all many blessings in our joyful November. Take care, everybody. Bye.